Jake's Potter's House in Dallas, to the First Baptist Church of Glenarden, offering 20 powerful keys to unlock your life. Her goal is simply to get women to realize that they are powerful and that they don't have to worry about who is better, taller, prettier, or smarter. Just that there's no need to seek validation to fulfill themselves, because that is not how women were designed. Recently, Sophia stood on the same stage with First Lady Michelle Obama, Oprah Winfrey, poet Nikki Giovanni, and other prominent African-American women who spoke during the unveiling of the Maya Angelou poster stamp at the Warner Theater. And that was just one of her many recent accomplishments. Great people are formed on a great struggle, and Sophia's mission is to not merely survive, but to thrive. Sophia, resilience is her name. Let's welcome the award-winning author of The Woman Code, Sophia Mercer.
Hit me at Twitter. I am Sophia Nelson, and I will retweet it as soon as I'm done. But we want to share. And is there a hashtag, Madam President, for today for this event?
Yes.
What is it?
Hashtag NCBW 12th Annual.
NCBW 12th Annual. Y'all got that? All right. Good little pound sign. All right. So good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Let me just say at the outset, Madam President, and to the officers of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Las Vegas chapter, I am honored and humbled to be here. This is my third Madam C.J. Walker luncheon that I've done in the United States. The first time in Oakland, San Francisco chapter, which is huge, as you know, and then I did the Philadelphia chapter closer to home, Virginia, where I live, and then I'm delighted to be here this afternoon in Las Vegas. So again, thank you for choosing me. This is a book year for me. I'm on sabbatical. I'm supposed to be hiding and writing. And so it's good to get out of my cage. They let me out for a little while to come and be with you all today. All right, so y'all know I can't see anymore, so I got to put some glasses on so that I can get to the remarks. Now, what I did was, I'm not going to stick to this PowerPoint, but that's just there so you have something to look at. I really want to start, though, with a word. You know, it's Sunday. It's Sunday. And this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. So I want to start with giving praise and honor to God on His day. And I want to say that this word, I hope this afternoon, the nuggets that I'm going to give you about Black girls' lives matter. I'm going to try to do something a little different here. My first book, Black Woman Redefined, is about us as African American women sisters. And this new book, The Woman Code, is about all of us in the sisterhood of women. So I'm going to attempt to merge the two so that I can help us to redefine who we are as Black women. And I'll get to what I want to redefine about us, so stick with me. And hopefully we'll walk out this floor with some nuggets and some keys about how we can use the code to better redefine the way the world sees us as African American women. Because the truth is, sisters, there's nothing wrong with us. Nothing's wrong with us. It's the way the world sees us, and that's the problem. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. All right, can I have the first slide, please? No, forget that one. We know about her. All right, now you're going to notice, right, that screen is blank. Who are Black girls and women anyway, and what's our real story? You know, I left that blank. I was intentional about leaving that blank, and you know why? Because, sisters, I'm going to tell you something you already know, and that is the world still sees us as African American women and girls as largely invisible. Now, I know you're saying, Sophia, how's that possible? We have an African American first She had to go on TV not once but twice and defend herself from being called what? An angry black woman. Did y'all see it? Because it was all in the national media. If you go back to the summer of 2015, and I want to take you back to last summer, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think about the state of our country relative to what became a movement out of Ferguson, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. And then there were other hashtags that came out. Black women's lives matter. Black girls' lives matter. When the Boko Haram took the girls in Nigeria, you remember that. Many of those girls still in captivity. And you know what I found very sad, sisters? Even though those young ladies were in Nigeria, they were a continent away, it was interesting to watch what the news reports and what it doesn't report. If you were to go through, and I'm going to give you a little bit, I'm going to set the table before I get to what I want to say, but I want you to think about this. If you were to go to the Bureau of Statistics and look at the number of black girls that are missing in America, that go missing, those numbers are in the tens of thousands. And you look at Natalie Holloway, who went on a trip to Aruba, her high school trip. And you know what? This is not about black versus white. I'm talking, for those of you in the room who are not of color, I need you to hear me most of all. Because there is a difference in how we treat our white daughters and our black daughters, our Asian daughters and our Hispanic daughters. There's a difference in how we report the news. There's a difference in how we talk about the future and what's possible for our black girls and women in this country. And so I want you to understand that when I leave that blank, because we're still largely invisible as black women. And when the world sees us, sisters, what does it see? I'm going to tell you what it sees. The Real Housewives of Atlanta, the basketball wives. Pulling out hair, ripping and cussing and fighting.
Yeah.
I don't know black women like this. I don't know if y'all do, but I don't. I don't know if they So the answer to the question is this: who are black girls and women anyway, and what's our real story? Our real story is this. As we honor Madam C.J. Walker today, I have a new book coming out in January called One. It's based on our motto, E pluribus unum, out of many we are one. We're inaugurating a new president in January. We don't know who it's going to be, but we know it's going to be Trump or Clinton. I'm assuming Bernie Sanders doesn't surpass Hillary Clinton. I think that's a good bet at this point. But we're going to inaugurate a new president in this country. But I want you to buckle up as somebody who's in Washington, D.C. Let me tell you something, America. You're in for a rough ride on this campaign. This is going to be one of the nastiest, most divisive, unbelievable rhetoric is going to come out of the mouth of Mr. Trump. And unbelievably so, Mrs. Clinton will have to defend and go back at him. We are not going to feel very lifted and inspired when this campaign's over. And I bring that up because my book is about our motto, out of many we are one. And one of the Americans who made it into my book, out of all the famous Americans, starting from the time we were formed in 1776 till now, is Madam C.J. Walker. She is one of the Americans that I profile to teach the next generation what it means to be a great American. And so if you don't know who she is in this room today, you need to hit Google. You need to learn about who she was.
That's right.
And you need to learn about the fact that as a black woman of her time, she was supposed to be invisible. She was less than nothing as a woman of her time. Women were nothing in her time. But to be a black woman and to be the first millionaire. I didn't say black female millionaire. She was one of the first millionaires of her time, other than J.P. Morgan Chase and names like that. As a woman of color and as a person of color, it was unheard of. So I'm going to go back to that question again. Who are black girls and women anyway? I'll tell you who we are. We're Madam C.J. Walker. We're Harriet Tubman that's going to give a $20 ladies, look, the simple message about the woman's code is this. Everything you need to win in life is already inside of you. Y'all know that scripture, Psalm 139, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Sisters, let me tell you something. And brothers, hear this because this is for you too. And again, for people in the room who are not of color, just listen to what I'm saying because it is so important that we embrace each other as the one that we are. We are one America. I don't like all these hashtag movements that I see because the truth is, black lives do matter. They do. But so do all lives matter. And I don't say that to diminish. Hear me on this. Until we as Americans start thinking like Americans, and as we're one country and one nation, indivisible, under God, right? And so, this woman code that I wrote about, sisters, is for all of us. And when I use the term sisters, I'm saying that we are one. White women marrying your brothers, coming into your family. They're your sisters-in-law now. They're your family. Black women marrying white women. We're one. We're a melting pot now.
Yes.
And so things have got to change. And the way we look at things has got to change. The woman code, sisters, is simply this. Everything you need to win is already inside you. Stop seeking validation outside of yourself. Stop looking to other people to define you. There's nothing wrong with being full figured. There's nothing wrong with being too skinny. There's nothing wrong with being too tall or too short. Curly hair, nappy hair, straight hair, big hair, little hair. Whatever it is, love yourself.
Yes,
You
yes,
don't need
yes.
anybody to validate you. Alright, so what we're going to do now is you've got the woman code. I talked a little bit about the context of us as black women. And now what I want to do is give you a charge. Okay, sisters? You asked about black girls' lives and do they matter. And that is the focus of this organization this year, as I understand it. And I think that we're going to go to the Bible here a little bit. We're going to go to Titus chapter 2. And in Titus chapter 2, Paul writes a letter to Titus, and he's setting out the qualifications for elders and for deacons and for bishops. Y'all know your Bible. And then he comes to the wives of those men. And he says that the wives need to do something. And it's important that we talk about what we need to do. Because the truth is, something has gone very wrong with our girls, particularly our black girls.
Amen.
In Delaware, just last month, 4 teenage girls in high school took another girl in the bathroom and beat her to death. And they other ones laughed and they videotaped it. Now, what is going wrong in our community, sisters? When our young sisters are so angry and so violent that they would take another girl into a bathroom. 4 of them would beat her to death and the others would videotape it and post it and think that that's okay. Something has gone very, very wrong. And the question becomes, is the problem with them or is the problem with us? And I would say to you that the problem is with us. Because something's gone wrong from my grandmother's generation, who's in this room. My grandmother, 86 years old, stand up, wait for me.
Standing up.
So those who are living in the casino, right? But when I think of my grandmother's generation, the greatest generation, they went through the Great Depression, they fought World War II. She and my grandfather Samuel were married for 53 years until he passed away. We lost him in 2001. Served his country. One of the first black men. He snuck and joined the army early at age 17. He went to a segregated military. But he served. There was something about their generation that was magical. And then they had the baby boomers. We'll forgive them for that. Mom, that's your generation. They had the baby boomers. Mom, stand up. I have my mother in the room also. And then we had the baby boomers. Stick with me. And what did the baby boomers do?
Something wrong.
Civil rights movement. Women's rights movement. All this amazing stuff happened between 1925 and 1968. And then they had my generation, Gen X. And I don't know what happened.
Yes, Lord.
My generation, Gen X, the most afraid of marriage generation on record. I'm not making stuff up. But if our girls, hear me, if our children now believe that it's okay to do, y'all see the same things I see. You see the disrespect quotient in this country is up to here. No manners anymore. Not no ma'am, no sir. What do you want? Pants hanging down on your bottom. It is a mess. We didn't tell them something. We didn't teach them something. So, first charge of the day is what Paul writes in the letter to Titus. And he says that the older, wiser women should teach the younger women the way to go. And y'all nod your head in this room, but I got to talk to my older sisters over 60 for a minute.
All right
Church
now.
mothers. Now, back in the day when I was a girl, the church mothers would jack you up. You didn't do right. You looked crazy. You said something wrong. They don't going to beat you down. They were going to tell your mom that she was going to beat you down. Am I right? That doesn't happen anymore, sisters. I talked to too many seasoned, beautiful sisters who have so much wisdom to share, so much gift. They said, I'm not going to say it. They'll curse at me. They're disrespectful. They won't listen to me. Y'all got to stop being afraid. You got to reassert authority. And I'm not telling you to get into any. It's not about confrontation, sisters. It is about a modeling of who we want them to become.
Yes.
They need to see us walk it out. Because if all we're doing is talking about it and we're not being about it,
Yes.
we're not going to.
Yes, that's right.
That's charge number one for us. So the first thing I want us to do, African American women in this room, and other women in this room not of color, and men, model it. Stop talking about it and start being about it. Our community has to get a spirit again. A spirit of, we don't need the handout. We might need a hand up.
Yes.
Well, think of what our ancestors did. Think of what Madam C.J. Walker did at a time when black women, and y'all know how she started, washboard, washing laundry, washing stuff. She was broke, she was poor. But she wasn't poor in her mind, folks. The second charge of the day is stop being poor in your mind. Stop it. We have adapted a poverty mentality as a people. And I'm not just talking about economics. I'm talking about we stopped dreaming, we stopped being brave, we stopped being bold. We got content. That's the problem. Everybody in this room is a good person. And you know we're tired, and everybody works too much, and you got too much to do, and we don't want to get involved anymore. Black people, that has killed our community. We are a people who get involved in each other's lives and in each other's business. And I'm not talking about being a busybody. I'm talking about being engaged with somebody, helping somebody up, mentoring somebody, sponsoring somebody. That's what this organization does. And sisters, I applaud you for the work that you do. I remember about that was starting corporate. I got to see you doing it. Okay, there we go. Don't sing the lady, sing again, rotate, my baby. Here's the thing. And brothers, newts, Qs, alphas, sigmas, love you too. Here's the thing. We have a lot of service organizations, and we do good things. But can I say something? Sometimes we get so caught up in doing that we forget to be. And we forget to connect with these young people and really invite them into our lives and invite them into our homes and help them. They're dealing with stuff that we simply were not dealing with. If you're over 40 years old, you don't have a clue about what this generation is facing. They have exposure to images and things, our young people, that we simply, all we had was the phone booth and a quarter in our pocket. We didn't even have a cell phone. I remember going out on a date, my dad giving me a quarter like if he does something wrong, call me on the phone. That doesn't exist anymore, right? So I'm charging you to model it, to be it, and to really connect with a young person, whether it's in your own family mentor. We need that, and they need us. Sisters, stop being afraid to check the young sisters when they ain't right. Check them. All right, next one. All right, so now I'm out of time. What do we got on time? I'm good? You're good. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I picked a few codes in the woman code, and we're going to go through them. I'm going to tell you a little bit about them, and then we're done. Like I said, I don't do speeches, don't believe in them. It's interactive. I want to give you something that helps you leave this room. And I said this before, I don't like the word empowerment. It's an old word. I know a lot of empowered women that are jacked up. I want you to do, again, I love the Apostle Paul, being transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Amen.
So today we're going to do some transformation, sisters. I'm going to give you a little bit of something that you can use. Put it into practice right now. This isn't hard. I need to tell you that the woman code, although a global bestseller and all that, I'm humbled. I haven't said anything really new. I just reminded us of who we are.
Yeah.
And where we come from, and more importantly, whose we are. All right, the personal codes. The book is broken into 5 parts. You got personal, emotional, relational, spiritual, and what's the last one? No, professional. Okay. All right, so the personal codes. Sisters, let me tell you something. Code number 1. Now listen to me, please. I'm going to bowl down some people's alleys, but you're going to forgive me. Sisters, if you don't like yourself, if you don't love yourself, He never will.
Amen. Yes.
Let me say that again. If you don't like you and you don't love you, nobody else ever can. You see, because people mirror back what we give to them and what we show them, how we feel about ourselves. We as black women are very accomplished. We're very smart. We're very strong. But the truth is, we have an identity crisis, many of us, particularly our young girls, about our value and about our worth. And how could we not? Every day of our lives, from time immemorial, from the time we got here. If you guys aren't watching Underground, you should be. That is a bad show. It goes back to where we started in this country, slavery. And you see, some people say, "Oh, Sophia, why are you going back there?" Because you got to know where you came from to understand what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
You can't be a part of a group as women in this country. America started as a very patriarchal society. Women were to be adored like china. They were to be put on shelves. They were literally the property of their husbands. But I'm talking about white women, not black women. And if Sojourner Truth was standing here with me right now, she'd say, "Well, ain't I a woman?" You see, those famous words she spoke in 1853 at Seneca Falls in New York, at the suffragette convention, she was a bit confused. Because she saw women walking by in their fine dresses, and one woman dropped her handkerchief, apparently, and a man picked it up. And she said, "Well, ain't I a woman? I work in the fields. I give birth to a baby, and I still got to work in the fields." And she went through this whole diatribe about what it means and meant at that time to be a black woman. Sisters, I got news for you. Not a lot has changed since that time. One of us lives in the White House. And that is a wonderful, amazing accomplishment. But too many of us have been left behind. And it starts with the value proposition. The way we treat each other as black women.
Yes.
I don't have enough time here today to go there.
Yes.
And I don't think I need to. Y'all got it. And you know why? Read Audre Lorde. Read Eye to Eye. An amazing poem that she wrote in the 60s about black women seething anger that just lingers on. Y'all know we angry. We are. But there's a reason for that. And this is what I'm trying to say when I say redefine our image. You see, at the end of the day, we're teetering, sisters. We're carrying everybody with us. We're trying to work hard and carry the load. We're trying to uplift our men. We're trying to uplift ourselves. And everybody always wants a piece of us. I'll quiet because it's true. Everybody wants a piece of us. There is no rest for us. And we get tired. And then we look at another black woman, and when she does something, and she makes a mistake, like anybody else can. Our man can do all kind of nonsense to us, all kind of bad stuff. Brothers, I'm not picking on you. I'm just talking. And we will forgive him.
Yes, yes.
And if you're married, that's as it should be. But you let your girl do something.
Okay, speak on it.
Your ride or die of 20 years, who was there when you had breast cancer, who helped you when your kids were sick. You'll cut her off and kick her out and get mad at her and be done. Because you know what? We hold each other to a different standard. Because we figure, look, you can't do this to me. You know what this is like. Sisters, that's got to stop. We're just human beings at the end of the day. And we got to stop being so mean to each other, sisters. We have to know our value. And only when I love Sophia and like Sophia can I love another black woman. And if I don't, you can always tell the sisters you need to run from. Listen to me. Because here's what they say. You ready? I'm going to give y'all a secret. You ready? I don't do female friends. I don't like
Those are the
them.
ones you run from.
I go, you know what? I got you, bye. It's all good. Because any woman that says that doesn't like herself.
That's right.
So sisters, code number 1, know your value and know your worth. Because when you do, you're unstoppable. Code number 2, make peace with your past. They didn't mess the slideshow up. It's all good. Make peace with your past. Now look, these first few codes tie in with each other, right? I may as well stop reading. If I don't know my value, forget about anything else I'm going to tell you. But code number 2 is real important for those of us in this room. Because our past, as I just went into, is not like anybody else's past in this country. We have a very different story as black women and girls than any of our other female compatriots. Now, they can argue with it. You didn't come this way the same way. Yes, as women, we have similar struggles and similar issues, and that is where we should focus our commonality of purpose as women. But as black women, we got a lot of stuff in our past, a lot. And a lot of us in this room right now, we ain't casting, we're carrying. What Jesus said, told you to cast your cares, not carry them. We're carrying a lot of stuff, sisters. We're bound up. We keep replaying the tapes. I know because I do it myself. I can write these words because I do it myself. And I said, make peace with it. Notice I didn't say get over it. I didn't even say let it go as much as I said make peace with it. Because when you make peace with something, sisters, many of the women in this room have been sexually abused. That's just a statistical fact that I know to be factual. Many of the women in this room have been physically abused. You've been mistreated. You've been stumped on. You've been told you're nothing. You've been told you was never going to be cute enough. You was never enough. You're never going to get a man. You was never going to amount to anything. You've been told all kind of negative about you. Not just from within our own families, but the world tells us something bad about us every single day. As black women, the images about us in the media are not positive. So sisters, you got to make peace with it. Whatever it is, stop replaying the tapes over and over and over. Give yourself a break. Know your value. Dismiss whatever they told you you weren't, and know that it was a lie. It was a trick of the enemy to deceive you about who you are supposed to become. And not who you are supposed to be. Now this one is one of my favorites. Teach people how to treat you. Now look, y'all, we always like to point the finger at other people, and you know what? When people treat you bad and they're not right, they have a problem. We agree.
Yes.
But let me tell you who's got a bigger problem. Why are you letting them treat you that way? And that is the question we need to begin to ask our girls. Our girls have a problem. Do you have a clue what they're engaged in out there? Sex trafficking around the globe at an unbelievable height. Pornography, stuff again that we just didn't have to contend with in our generations. Man, I can't say to you enough how much we need you as our fathers, fathers and our husbands as our brothers to
Yes.
defend, protect, and to serve your families. Because your daughters are in trouble. Your daughters are in trouble.
Yes.
And we women can continue to have luncheons, and we can continue to have workshops, and we can continue to tell each other how much we need to empower each other. But until the men get in the room, and until the men begin to speak words of life to us and affirmation to us and help to us, brothers, we need you. I can't say that enough. We can't do it without you. We've never been able to do it without you. Oh, we make it look good. It ain't working. You teach people how to treat you. They may be raggedy, they may be broke down, they may be disrespectful, but the question I ask myself before I cut or I untie, and I'll get to that later, is what's wrong with me? What am I doing putting up with this? Why am I letting somebody talk to me like this? Sisters, I don't care if this is on the job. I don't care if this is in a relationship. Again, if you're in marriage, it's different. Marriage is a commitment. It's a sacrament. It is a holy covenant before God. And I don't have enough time to talk about that today. But that is a different, you don't let anybody mistreat you, husbands and wives. That's not what we're called to do, right? But you can't just walk away either. That's a bit of a different situation. But I want you to know, in relationships and friendships, in our organizations, nobody has the right to talk to you crazy.
That's right.
Nobody has the right to disrespect you and dishonor you. You have to ask yourself a question. What is it about me that I'm giving somebody license and permission to talk to me like that? It always starts with self and knowing your value. When you know your value and your worth, nobody's going to talk to you crazy. I tell people all the time, I've never, ever, ever had an abusive relationship with a man. Ever, ever. It's not because I'm lucky, they knew better. I may be little and all that stuff, but they knew that one right there, she's not the one. I'm telling you, they got radar. They know, people know how they can treat you. So remember this. Okay, next slide. I'm going to pick this up. All right, be brave. I love this because bravery is a word we usually associate with our men and our brothers and running up on a white horse and all that good stuff. But bravery is different than that. As Christians, and it's Sunday, so we need to talk a little bit about the Lord today. We have, but I want to challenge us in this room who are people of faith to be brave. Bravery is something you have to walk in your everyday life. It's standing on your convictions. Now, I didn't tell you to go to your job and say something crazy to somebody. What I'm saying to you is that being brave is knowing who you are and being willing to walk in it. As a generation of African American people, the most affluent generation of African American people ever to exist,
Yes.
like I said, we've lost something. We've lost that bravery. The older sisters don't check the young sisters. The brothers, you definitely weren't checking the brothers. In point of fact, what you're telling them is, man, don't get married. Don't get caught on the chain. Don't do it. Go get all you can. That is the wrong thing to say. And brothers, I'm talking to you because, again, we sisters do this all the time. We're always talking. But at the end of the day, we need you to be brave. And you can't keep telling sisters to be good and be good wives and mothers, and the brothers are running wild. You can't do that. You've got to check them too.
Yes.
Be brave. Y'all know you should clap on that. Thank you. But as Christians of this generation, I'm going to charge you with something. We're in the era of PC. Politically correct. Look, that's none of my business. I ain't going to say nothing. Let somebody come in the bathroom and be with no problem.
Okay.
Y'all didn't catch that one.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
We want to go along to get along. We want to be liked. We want to be correct. Our ancestors didn't practice that. Because had they had done so, we wouldn't be in this room. Madam C.J. Walker didn't do what people expected her to do. She didn't do what she was supposed to do. She didn't stay in her place. She was brave. And by being brave and lifting and pulling herself up from nothing, she became a millionaire in her day. Y'all don't understand who this woman was. If she can do it back in her time, what is wrong with us? your
on it.
house.
See.
You understand what I'm saying? Be brave. Now lift others as you climb. This comes from Dr. Janetta Cole, Spelman College, and she was president. I heard her give a speech. I was young. I was in high school. And she said this wonderful phrase, we as women must lift each other as we climb. And this goes back to that little thing I said to you about how we as black women treat each other. It ain't pretty most of the time. That's not all of us. But there's too many of us that do that. If I were to go to every table and ask you to give me a story, every one of you could,
Yes.
about how another woman stepped on your neck. She pushed you down. She blocked the door. She talked about you. But then, many of us could share stories in this room of women who got down. I would get down on my knees, but I'm afraid I can't get back up. Got down and let you climb on their back.
Yes.
Madam C.J. Walker and the women of her time, we stand on their shoulders. We climb on their backs. They understood the notion of lifting as you climb. Sisters, this isn't a hard one. This means be a mentor, be a sponsor. Help another sister. You didn't get that position at Xerox or at IBM or at Coca-Cola by yourself.
Yes.
So why, when a new young sister comes in, you give her the hardest time of all?
Yes.
Why is it about protecting what you've got? The reality is this, and let me tell you what I know about physics. What goes up comes down.
Yeah.
And I'll just give you a piece of advice, okay? If you help other women come up, young women, mentor them, talk to them, sponsor them, work with them. When you're ready to retire, when your time is over, or maybe you get a pink slip, there are going to be some people that like you at that job. There are going to be some people who said, Sally helped me. She lifted me. So if I can't save her job here, I'm going to help her get another one somewhere else.
Click on it.
See, some of y'all understand that being nice is actually a good thing. It actually works. And sisters, like I said, I'm a black woman every day just like you.
Yeah.
It's hard. We take crap that people don't know about. Sometimes I come home and I tell my mother, and we talk, and I'll tell her something, and she's looking at me like, that really happened? Like, y'all did. She's a nurse, God bless her. She comes along at a different time where women were different. It's hard in corporate America. It's hard out there. There's still very few of us out there. And so we've got to lift each other up, sisters, as we come. I'm not saying we don't help our other sisters. Of course we do. White ones, black ones, Asian ones, whatever. But there's something about helping each other. The Jewish people are my favorite people on earth.
Amen.
They got this thing down to a science.
Yes, they do. All praise the Jews. I ain't the Jews.
Am I wrong?
No.
And now the Indian people do, and other cultures, the Africans do. They come up and they turn that dollar over in their community 20, 30 times.
Yes.
They refer within their communities,
Yes.
within their churches,
That's
in
right.
their synagogues. They lift as they climb. If somebody wants to go to dental school or medical school, they'll get a loan to put that kid through school. Not us. I'm not putting anybody down. Hear my heart this morning. I'm talking to us straight because we need to be talked to straight. We're playing. We're not who we used to be because we got complacent. I could go on a whole rant about how I feel about the pros and cons of segregation and desegregation in America. I think y'all know where I want to go with that, but I can't do that today. At the end of the day, we have to lift each other as we go up because we're coming back down, I promise you. So treat people good. Use the golden rule. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. And when it's your time, and some of you in this room know exactly what I'm talking about. You've been rescued and saved because you were good and you did good to people and you talked to people right and you treated people right.
Yes.
All right, next slide and I think we're done. Okay. Spiritual codes. Now, this bottom one here I'm going to start with first before I get to the choose your thoughts and words wisely. Never cut what you can untie. That comes from my paternal grandmother. She was a country girl from South Carolina, 6th grade education. And she used to say, baby, never cut what you can untie. And of course, when I was young, I didn't know what she meant. But what she meant was profound. She meant don't burn bridges unnecessarily. Because you may have to go back across them again. Sisters, if there's something we do bad, we will blow a bridge up.
Unfortunately, yes. Amen.
We didn't just... Never cut what you can untie. What did she mean? Sisters, brothers, every human being living needs to hear this. Look, there's a time in all of our relationships. Look, let me tell young people something because y'all don't understand this. Texting ain't talking.
Boy. Amen.
Let me tell you something else. It's normal to have conflict in your relationships. You know that, right? It's normal. I didn't say somebody being aggressive with you, abusing you verbally. That's not normal, and that's not healthy. But every relationship of value, you're like, we all got crazy families. Every one of us in here, your families drive you crazy. Your families are going to be your biggest source of drama in your life. It's just true.
Maybe.
But listen to me. Conflict does not mean that we cut people off. If that's the case, ain't nobody making it in marriage. Right? Can I get the hands of people in the room that have been married over 30 years? That's a lot of people. Good for you. How about over 40 years? How about over 50 years? Anybody over 60 years? See, I could just drop the mic and let them come up here and teach the rest of them.
Yeah.
Because I promise you, if I were to talk to them, they would tell me there was conflict in their marriage at some point. And there was a point where they wanted to choke their spouse. And they're like, I married you? But what I'm saying is this, whether again it's your sorority sisters or your link sisters or your friends or your family or your colleagues at work, listen to me, there comes a time when you just need to step back for a moment. Give it a rest. Sometimes you just need a break. Sometimes marriages need breaks and people put them back together again. They don't get divorced, they just take a time out. And I'm not encouraging you to take a time out. I'm just saying, sometimes there's something about untying something. But there does come a time, brothers and sisters, when you have to sever things for good. So that's why cutting is so important, that you're strategic and surgical, like a surgeon. Because once I cut it off, it's much harder to put it back together again or mend it. So I want you to practice this in your lives. If somebody's abusive to you, abrasive to you, if you're in danger of any kind, I lost a sorority sister earlier this year. Her husband, military, post-traumatic stress disorder. He shot her to death in front of their 4.5-year-old. It was on all the news, you guys saw it. And then he shot himself. You know, we'll never know what the baby saw, how much damage is done to her, but it's probably enormous. But what I'm saying to you is, those of us who were left behind were confused because we never saw him be angry or upset or aggressive. Something was going on there. And we figured there had to be something that she knew. She lived with them for 20 years. And there was probably a point, my understanding was she was leaving. She was going to get her own place. She wasn't leaving the marriage necessarily, but she was trying to get away. And what am I saying? There were signs, sisters. There are always signs and warnings in our lives. All of us, the Word says He will always make a way of escape for us. So pay attention, because there are times and there are people you need to cut off and out of your life like cancer. They're bad for you. They're not right for you. They will hurt you. They will pull you down. When you know you feel it in your gut that is wrong, trust your gut.
Yeah.
Never cut what you can untie. Last slide.
Is that the last?
No? Okay, we're going to end with these. I think I had one bonus one, but we're probably close to time.
Yes.
Okay, so 2 last ones actually. The final one is know your front row, and I gotta talk about that because that's the coup de grace of the whole thing. Being resilient. Life is going to throw you curveballs. To the young people in the room, keep living. I promise you, things are going to happen, both wonderful things, amazing things, and not so wonderful, amazing things. One of the best pieces of advice I can give you, girls and young women, and even those of us that have been life into our twilight years, is this, is to be resilient. You got to get back up again and again and again and again. Now look, the Department of Defense called me one day and they said, Ms. Nelson, we know you're an expert on black women and we need to know something about black women. And I said, what's wrong? He said, well, we got a problem with our black female soldiers. And I said, well, what's wrong with the black females? He said, well, it's not that something's wrong with them. When they come back from theater, and, you know, we have white men, they have PTSD, and the black men have PTSD, and the white women have it, and everybody comes back a little, not right, but the black women, well, what's going on with that? Why did they seem to not have the same emotional problems with it, and they seem to just keep going? And I said, that's easy, I'll give you this for free. Said it's because we have faith. We're resilient. From the day we got on these shores in 1619, we had to endure. We had to get up. We had to be resilient. Nobody knows resilience better than us. I charge you again because, sisters, I know the road is hard, and I know you get weary, and I know you get tired, and you wonder when somebody's going to take care of me and let me rest and just let me have a minute. Be resilient, sisters. Take care of you. Love you. If you don't do a spa day and you say it ain't in the budget, make it fit in the budget. Take care of you. You don't need those Louboutins. Go on and do something else. Go take you a vacation somewhere. Get the Louboutins, get the imitation ones. Don't get the real ones. Take care of you. Aging gracefully. Aging gracefully. Now, sisters, this one's big, and this coat wouldn't have interested me much when I was 20. Now that I'm in my 40s, it interests me a lot. And the reality is, black don't crack. We age real life. We do. I look at my mother and my grandmother and I have a pretty good idea what I'm going to look like when I get into my 60s and my 80s, right? But what I'm saying to you is this coach is about more than just how we look. We as black women are hypertensive. We're overweight. We're most likely to suffer from heart disease, diabetes. And do you know why? Because we are under stress that is enormous. We're carrying a lot. So all I can say to you is what you already know. And it goes back to code number 1. You got to know your value and your worth, sisters. It doesn't matter if you get a few wrinkles, you put on a few pounds. What matters is, are you taking care of you inside of here? Because if inside of here's good, you're going to take care of this. It goes back to that, like some of us, we're touch deprived. This is real. Black women alone doing a lot, and we eat for comfort. It's serious and it's true. The food becomes a comfort. It becomes a friend. Sisters, walk instead. I don't have my Fitbit on because they made me take it off, but I have that thing on. Get a Fitbit. It helps you to track your steps. Something simple, and you can get excited because every day you want to do more. Walk. Eat better. Put more water in your diet. Cut out a little bread. Cut out the sweets. You age gracefully by loving and liking yourself, sisters. Lastly, and then we're done. Know your front row. This one also comes from my grandmother. Another one of her Southern South Carolina saying, baby, you better know your front row. Okay, again, when you're kids, you don't know what grandma's talking about. This one, if you forget everything else I said today, other than know your value, you better remember this one. I'm going to tell you a story. It's out of the Bible. It's in Mark chapter 2. And this illustrates this better than anything I can tell you. So, as the story goes, there's a man, and he's been paralyzed since his birth. And he's a paralytic, and he lays on a mat. And he's never walked, and he can't get up. So, he's got some friends. They sit in his front row. And so his friends hear that Jesus is coming to town. And they say, look, man, this Jesus dude heals people. You've heard about him. He's going to be at this other guy, Peter's house. So they went to their friend and they said, we're going to pick up your mat and we're going to carry you to meet this Jesus because maybe he can get you healed. Don't miss this story. So they pick him up. The Bible doesn't tell us how many friends there was, but there's probably a few if they were carrying another man on the mat, right? So they go up to Peter's house. When they get to Peter's house, there's a problem. Because everybody in town in Capernaum done heard what? The Jesus is in town, right? So everybody's at Peter's house. The front door's barred, the back door's barred, everything's barred. So let me tell you what. The friends lay their friend down and they huddle. Now let me tell you what some of your friends would have done and some of my friends would have done. My former friends, I should say. They would have said, well, girl, you know, I tried. I carried you to the door. But that's not what these friends did. What these friends did is they picked up his mat, they carried it up the side of the hill, they cut a hole through Peter's roof, and they lowered their friend down to get some healing. So you don't get two friends like that. You got to get some two friends who, when you're broke, when you're depressed, when you're left, when you're rejected, when you're hurt, when you're grieving, they will pick up your mat and they will carry you to get your healing. Because that's what your front row is all about. I'll end with this. Poor leadership principles teach us this. That the 5 people you associate with, I said the 5 people you associate with the most. If it's Cousin Ray Ray and JoJo, whatever it is you hang in with. This includes your spouse. This includes the people that you are with. Leadership principles tell us this is proven to be true. The 5 people I'm most connected to and talk to determine my life. They determine where I end up, whether I end up being a brain surgeon and a doctor or I'm somewhere homeless in a gutter. Do you understand the power of the people in your life? Young people, young sisters, listen to me. You are not a reality TV show. You're cussing and you're fighting and you're acting up because you think that will get you somewhere. You might get a TV show too. You got some friends trying to encourage you, let's go get us a show. Let's see how much we can rip each other's hair out and act up and act stupid. No, you don't want people like that in your life. You better get some people that encourage you, that push you, that challenge you, and yes, that check you. My regional director at Alpha has a saying. She says, yes, people will lead you to the water and they will let you drown. So some of you better get rid of the yes people in your life. You got too many people around you that okay everything you do. And you like it that way, you think. Until the hour comes when the rubber meets the road. Every woman and man in here has had an experience in your life. Again, if you're young, keep living. Where you found out who your friends were and who they were not. And some of y'all had to do a road check. Some of you need to do a road check right now. Now, I'm not telling you to go home and start firing your friends. Or telling your spouse I'm out. That's not what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you to do is to take inventory of your life. Because your real friends will be with you through thick and thin. They don't cut and run and they don't leave. Brothers and sisters, I hope that this afternoon that I've said something that has encouraged you, blessed you, inspired you. But I'll wrap it with black girls' lives do matter. Black women's lives matter. Again, in the next few months, the Obamas will leave the White House. And we will no longer have Michelle Obama as First Lady. I'm going to be severely depressed about this, I already know. And I say that because it's been amazing having and watching her. I love him too, but to see her and all she does, it has changed things for us. It really has. She has redefined the way we see black women in this country.
Yeah.
I thank you. God bless you. Thank you. And
as my mom would say, she preached today, didn't she? Being humble, Miss Sophia Nelson. Yes, yes. Thank you for giving us this place, because we needed to hear that. So I think we can all say that we walked away inspired, encouraged, and she gave us a lot to think about, right? Yes. So thank you for lifting us up. We appreciate you. Okay, at this time, I would like to call 3 special ladies to the stage. The president of the National Coalition for 100 Black Women of Las Vegas, Ms. Sophia. And we also like to call the co-chairs of this luncheon and induction ceremony as well, Ms. Liddy Gaines. Yes. And Ms. Jerry Hayes Wilson.
Okay, we're going to sign off.
They have a very special presentation for our keynote speakers, so I will let them speak.
We are moved, as we knew it would be by your speech. There are lots of, I want to make one interruption. One of the things 100 Black Women did in this year is that we invited a number of young girls to this organization who would not be able to be here otherwise. And did these young girls hear the right message? Would you agree? Like, with the young girls from Southern Nevada Children's First, please stand. With the young girls from the Tulips, please stand. The young girls from the UNLV, please stand. Our members paid for them to be at this event because we wanted them to hear this message. They're somewhere in the house, and so that is why we do this. To the awesome sister, we want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you, God keep you. We are happy to give you this award.
Yeah, I moved. This sister delivered